Okay guys, let's go ahead and create a new blank document, and let's just title this your last name and call it typography lesson. We need to make sure the units for this is not picas. It is going to be inches. Let's do 8.5 by 11 portrait style. Make sure facing pages is checked, and let's just start with one page. Go down to the bleeding slug and make sure that it's 0.125 in, and then hit create. So what I want to do is set this up so that the first page is going to be larger. So let's go up to our pages panel and let's make two brand new blank pages, and let's go ahead and resize our first page. On the left hand side you will see the third tool down from the top in our toolbar is called the page tool. If you grab that, you can adjust the page width. Now it's going to adjust the whole right hand side of our pages throughout the entire document, which is what we don't want. Change at the top where it says controlled by master to be scale. That way on the left hand side we can change our width and our height to be 11 by 17 respectively, so that we can have a tabloid size on our first page and a 8.5 by 11 spread as our pages 2 and 3. So let's go ahead and let's make a duplicate of our master pages. Let's click and drag it down to our new layer button, and let's go ahead and drag the actual B master pages to be on pages 2 and 3, so they both say B instead of A. And we are going to go inside of our B master pages, and what I want to do is I want to explain the difference between margins and columns and creating the guides. So let's go and do margins and columns first, and as you will see we can just do our columns. So let's take the number up to 10 for right now and then just press OK. And let's go back up to our layout drop down and let's do create guides. And let's do that same concept. Let's go to our columns and let's put in 10. Now, these will be a different color and they will go all the way from the top to the bottom. Now, the biggest difference here is that our guides, which is what we just made, will be set onto our layer. So if you hide that layer, you hide the guides, but the margins and columns will not disappear. You can also move the guidelines, but you cannot move our margins and columns. So just make sure that you pick the one that you want, because we can hide our guidelines if we need to. Now let's make a new blank layer and we can title them both lines and text respectively. And let's go ahead and lock our lines and let's go into our text layer. We can go ahead up to our view drop down and go to grids and guides, show baseline grid. So that's going to appear on every single page, except for we will not have our columns on page 1 because that is not part of the B master. So let's go ahead and grab our type tool and let's drag out a very tall and very long text box, and let's go up to the type drop down and fill with placeholder text. Now what we need to do is we need to change this up so that we can work with it. Now let's go ahead and set it to the baseline grid first. Go to your paragraph panel, go to the bottom right, press set to the baseline grid and uncheck hyphenate. Let's go up to our character panel and let's change our leading. Let's take it down to about 12. It looks a little bit cramped. We can take our tracking to around 100. That's still kind of cramped, but if we take our size down to around 10, that should be fine. Let's take it down to about 7 so that we can work on a new technique here. And we can expand out to the right our text box. Let's go ahead and press on it, go up to the top, and there is a create column. Let's put 2 columns in. Now the trick is you need to adjust the width of your text box so that it's going to be 2 equal parts between your column break. Now if you adjust the bottom of your text box up or down, it's going to adjust more text on the left than on the right. And to the right of the create a new column, there is several different buttons that you can choose from. Look and see what they do. They're very helpful, but for the most part you're going to keep it at the default. It's going to keep all of your text towards the top left, and it's just there to help you, and I wanted to at least show you that part in case it would ever come up. Okay, Let's go to our paragraph panel, and also there is a lot of other ways to justify your text. So check those out as well, try them out and see what they do. Okay, but I typically keep it on justify left, or to align it to the left. And if you look from the second one down from the top on the left, there's going to be a way to put a indent into each of your new paragraphs. So you can put in as much or as little as you want with that feature. That is pretty nice. Okay, so let's go ahead and expand out our text box even more. Let's put in 3 columns. You have to stretch it out all the way out to the margin, which is that purple line, and just drag up the bottom until there is more text on all 3 columns. They are all 3 equal columns. And let's go ahead and grab our rectangle tool. Let's make sure it is a black fill, not a black stroke. Create a rectangle, and we're going to wrap this text right around our shape. And if you go up to the window drop down, go down to where it says text wrap, and in this new panel there's a bunch of buttons at the top. For right now, let's go ahead and press the 3rd one from the left. It's going to wrap the text around our shape. And if you move that shape right around, the whole text box is going to adjust to it. Now to check it, you can hit the W button on your keyboard to do a quick preview. And that's just to hide your lines. Now if you go right underneath that and apply some padding to the top, the bottom, left, and right, you will put in more space between the shape and your text. So that is pretty cool. Now let's make a duplicate of that text box while holding the Option button on our keyboard, clicking and dragging it down to make a duplicate. We can go and grab our rectangle frame tool, and let's go ahead and do our file drop down, go to place, and let's go bring on that NASA logo, and we can fit content proportionally or fill frame proportionally. Let's fill the entire content proportionally. And if you shrink it down, it's not going to shrink it down, it's going to shrink down the bounding box. If you hold your command and the shift on the keyboard and then drag it, then you can resize the picture as well. That's just a quick tip for you guys. So for this one, we can apply the same text warp to our NASA picture, and you can play around with that way. Now, there's one cool feature here. The second button from the left is going to be the same concept, but it's going to wrap the text to the bounding box and not to the picture. So you can put the bounding box wherever that you want to, and the text is going to go right to the whole bounding box. So that is pretty cool as well. Let's go ahead and let's make a new text box on the left hand side of our pages, and let's put in headline. We're going to talk about more with our paragraph styles and character styles, but let's go into our paragraph styles. Let's make a new paragraph style, and let's call that headline 1. Make sure it's based on no paragraph style, and make sure to hit preview at the bottom left. And let's go into our basic character formats, and you can pick whichever font that you want to, I don't care, but pick one that has a lot of different styles. So I'm going to go with Helvetica Nouvelle, and for the headline it's going to be big and bold, so I'm going to go ahead and choose bold for this one. I'm going to increase the size. Now when you get to a certain size, it's going to kind of jump it into the next line, especially when you put tracking in there. So I'm going to put around 50 point size, and for the case, put it at all caps so that it's going to be a complete capital text. Press OK. And I'm going to expand out that text box so I can work with that text more. I'm going to go back into my headline 1, basic character formats, and I'm going to bump it up to 60 point size and tracking back to 0 because it should be fine as it is right now. Now, let's go to the indents and spacing, go to the align to grid, and make sure it says all lines. Next thing is just go to hyphenation, uncheck hyphenate, and the last thing is go to character color. Press none. Okay, press OK. And let's go to our character style, and let's go ahead and do a new character style 1, Let's press on that twice and call that black. And the only thing we will change here is our character color. Let's press black, not registration, but just black. Press OK. And just apply that character color to it, that character style to it. We can do a new one, call that red, just pick red just because. And you will see we can put it as red or we can put it as none. And then I'm going to go back into my paragraph styles. I'm going to go to the basic paragraph and I'm going to make a new style, call that subheadline. Make sure it's based on no paragraph style. Now, I'm going to press OK. I'm going to make a duplicate of the headline and I'm going to go press on the subheadline style and then just go into your basic character formats and put in what you think works best. Now, for this one, I'm not going to tell you exactly what to put in there, but you can follow this if you want to. Just think about it like this. The subheadline is going to be roughly about half of your headline, and make sure to align it to the grid. All lines is going to be fine. Make sure to uncheck hyphenate and to make sure that your character color is none, because our character styles will be taking care of our color. Now we can shrink down the size of our text box. We can change up the colors. We can see how it all looks. Now let's rename headline into subheadline and let's move our text boxes up. We can make a duplicate of our subheadline by holding the option button on our keyboard and just call that body copy. Now we need to fill our body copy text box with our placeholder text. But the problem is it's going to be as big as our subheadline, but the body copy is going to be a lot smaller. So press on your basic paragraph format and we can apply more placeholder text. Let's go ahead and do a new paragraph style, call that body copy. Same font family. For the body copy, keep it at regular or book because that's going to be our plain old regular font that we will be seeing quite often, so that can be between 8 to 10 or 11 point size, not much smaller or not much larger than that. And if you get smaller than about 8 point, it's going to be getting into your caption. So your caption is going to be between 5 to 7, sometimes 8. It's going to be tiny, but it's not going to be very important information. It's going to be more of directing your attention to either what this picture is, who this person is talking, what this quote is from. So I like to make my captions relatively small, between 6 to 7 point size. I like to put tracking in there just because of how small it is, and I like to make it on the bold side just because that helps to show the separation between the body copy and a caption. Now let's go ahead and let's make a new text box on the left hand side and let's put it as the body copy. Let's go ahead and fill it with more placeholder text, and I want to do something new here with our character styles. Okay, so let's go ahead and do a new character style, and if you notice I made one based off of the black, which is fine, but typically I like to put none so that I can work off it at the very start where it's just plain. So I'm going to call that black bold. The key here is once you change it to be black as your character color, go back into your basic character formats and go to the font style. Make sure that your font family has that style. I put it as bold and that I can quickly change it to be either just regular old black, or I can make it a black bold text, which is kind of cool too. Now what we can do is let's go ahead into our swatches panel. Let's drag down the black swatch to the new swatch button at the bottom, and I'm just going to call that swatch dark red. Now play around with your CMYK sliders until you get a color that you like. So I'm going to make a darker red color here, and once I have it where I think it looks best, I'm going to press OK, and it's going to save it inside of that swatches panel. Now what is cool is that I can go back into my character styles. I can press on none, new style, character style 1, I can call that dark red. I can go to my character color and scroll all the way down to the bottom and press on dark red. so that I have a new character style to color in my text. Now let's do it one more time. Let's go ahead and do dark red, and let's do 50%. Same concept, but this time let's change the tint to be 50%. And changing the tint is not going to change the opacity, it's going to change the amount of red put into it. So it's not going to show transparency. Okay, so let's go into our pages panel. Let's go inside of our A master page, and let's make a new blank layer, call that page numbers. I will show you how to set up your page number. So go grab your type tool, create a text box, and if you go from the type drop down at the top, you will go down to insert special character. Go to markers and go to current page number. Now set that text box to be the correct paragraph style. Right now mine's at subheadline, put it at body copy and set it to be black, just because you can put that text box at the bottom corner on both pages or just on that page if you want to. So that is pretty cool. Now it's going to show this letter and not a number until you view that page in the actual pages. So go to page 1, see it says 1. Let's go to page 3 and let's add in 4 more pages, and let's drag in the A master pages to pages 4, 5, 6, and 7, so that now you can do a full preview, which is your Shift W on the keyboard, and you'll see that it's going to count each of those numbers. That is pretty awesome. Now if you look at the bottom left of your window, you should see a red circle with 2 errors. That's not good. Let's go and check that. Let's double click on that, and it's going to say that there is text hidden inside of our frame on page 3. So if we drag down those text boxes, it's going to show all the text that was hidden, and it should say no errors, and it should be a green circle. That is what we need. So that is a good thing here. Let's collapse down and let's talk about one more time about how to package it. Make sure to save that document to your folder and go to File, go to Package at the bottom. Make sure there is nothing missing, there is no problems. Press Package and save it inside of that folder. I'm just going to take off the word folder and put in Final. Now make sure it includes those 2 check marks, the IDML and your PDF. You can hit package at the bottom right, and let's go to that folder that we just saved it to, and let's check it out. Let's just make sure, because right now inside that folder there's a PDF, and if you preview it, it's going to show it as single pages, is what we do not want. But it includes the fonts like we have talked about in class, and it includes the links, which is the NASA picture. So let's go back up and let's do File, Export, and let's go to that folder that we just created. Now you can put at the very last part of your save as, put with lines. Make sure it is the Adobe PDF print. Make sure the preset at the top is press quality. Make sure that spreads is checked, visible guides and grids is checked. Go back to the top left, marks and bleeds, crop marks, and use the document bleed settings is checked. Press export. Let's do this one more time. File, export, and let's rename it at the top. Let's just put final at the last part of our save as and press save. Press quality, make sure spreads is checked. Do not check anything else but use the document bleed settings in your marks and bleeds. Press export and go ahead and check those 2 PDFs that you had just exported out. Make sure that they are correct, and once you're happy with it, we will move on to our next step. Thanks guys.